we are talking with Thomas. He's the owner of Taqueria Picoso. Basically, this is two gringos getting together, talking about Mexican food. It's going to be super interesting. He owns a restaurant in Virginia, and basically, he took this chef from Mexico and jumped through many, many hoops to get him here, to a point where he had to pay for him to get a MBA in just to get one, just so he can get this guy here and start working for his restaurant. So there's a lot of hoops he had to do to get this guy to open up his restaurant. So it's pretty exciting. He's got a very passionate about Mexico, passionate about food. And obviously, he spent a lot of money to get this chef over here to America. So enjoy. All right, we are live with Tom Taqueria Picoso. Tom, it's interesting, man, because I was talking to your chef, last week. We had him on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to get to know you a little bit more. You and I had a nice phone conversation. And, basically we're just two gringos that love Mexican culture and food. So I wanted to get you on here. I wanted you to get your perspective because your chef had some really interesting stories about his trip from Mexico into America. So I thought it would be great to have you on and kind of get your perspective, and get your understanding of, why Mexico, why Mexican culture, why Mexican food. So for me, my journey over the last 10 years is a guy who just liked tequila. I like tequila. I thought it was good. And then I started to learn more about it. And I was like, oh, wow, there is so much more details. I mean, if you could see the photo I have behind here, of harvesting agaves, I was like, wow, there's something more than just crappy juice in a bottle. This is really like a passion. This is really culture. And it's kind of took me on this journey when I created Arte Agave to say, wow, there's more than just bad tequila down in Mexico. And then you start to meet the people who come to your events. And you fall in love with them, and you fall in love with the food and the music and the colors and everything about it. It's just super, super unique and interesting. And I've met so many amazing people on my journey. So it's just been cool. And people always ask me, they're like, hey, you're the white guy from America. Why are you doing all this kind of stuff? And I'm like, man, once you get to know the people and what they're doing, it's contagious. It's really contagious, and it's exciting. Absolutely. And it's a lot of fun. And it's nice to meet, more Americans like you who have that passion for it. So I guess my question for you is, give us a little bit about your background, and then why the taqueria and why everything that you're doing.
Yeah, well, first of all, your background's a whole lot more exciting than what you're behind me.
You look like a man who's running a restaurant right now.
Yeah, the back confines of a restaurant office. Like myself, Americans love Mexican beer. We love Mexican tequila and mezcal. We love Mexican resorts and their Americanized hotels and their beaches. But we don't love Mexico. And this whole love affair of mine with Mexico started on a really interesting journey, almost 8 years ago, actually. I was consulting for a restaurant in Bethesda, Maryland, that was going horribly. And we decided the only way to save it was to reconcept it as a Mexican restaurant, because the sous chef was from Puebla, Jose, and his food was amazing. And that's kind of where it began for me, was tasting his food and saying, this restaurant needs to be a Mexican restaurant. So we began along this journey of planning to convert this restaurant and putting him as the executive chef. Well, it was right before Halloween, and the owners all got together and had an early meeting, and they sat down with me and said, we don't want a Mexican restaurant. That's not what our goal was when we opened this place. And so I said, okay, well, I guess my job's done here. I left. The restaurant ended up closing on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So it lasted another 3 weeks. And so I had this chef who, with his amazing abilities and amazing menus and preparation styles. And I said, I got to find him a home. Well, of course, as it turned out, I couldn't find him a home quickly enough. And he went away. Started another life in another world. And so I said, well, I'm not going to stop on this. I want to keep this journey going. So what do I do? well, I got to go find another chef from Mexico. And so I had a friend who loves Mexico as well, and said, you got to go down to Mexico City and meet this guy named Pepe. And Pepe is the executive chef of a beautiful hotel, boutique hotel in the historic part of Mexico, right in the heart of Mexico City. So through WhatsApp, I made an appointment with him to meet him while I flew down to Mexico. My first time in Mexico City, because most Americans don't really travel to Mexico City, but now I had a purpose. So I flew down there, met with him, and sat up in the bar of the hotel and said, would you be interested in doing a project in Alexandria, Virginia? And he thought about it for a moment. He said, no, not interested. He said, I love my life here and I have family, so I'm staying. But he goes, hang on a minute. So he ducks back in the kitchen. About 5 minutes go by, and he pops out with Elio. And he sets him down. And he says, this is my executive sous chef, and I think he might be interested, so you can talk to him. So Elio and I sat down, chatted about it, and he said, well, I'm off tomorrow. Why don't we go tour around, Mexico City and talk about it? So we went out, ate and drank all around over Mexico City. And I left that next day, and he said, well, I'll think about it. So I got back home and I thought, well, maybe we should bring him up to Alexandria and show him that we're really serious about this. So I invited him in the following October to come up to Alexandria, put him up in a hotel in Old Town, and we toured him around restaurant projects that I'd been involved with and places that we were looking to lease. And he flew back and he said, okay, I'll do it. So that began our journey of trying to gain him work access to the United States, which was not an easy endeavor. I met up with a great attorney, and he said, okay, we're going to try and get an O1 visa for Elio. So while he was still in Mexico and I was looking for properties up in Alexandria, we jointly started working on this process to gain an O1 visa. In fact, there he is.
Hey, there he is.
Sorry to interrupt again.
Okay.
What's up, buddy?
It's not on purpose. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah, we're talking about that journey, how you got up here.
I know.
It was long and difficult.
Yeah.
So our attorney said, we're going to apply for an O1 visa, which required, oh my God, tons of paperwork, recommendations from people that know Elio, that worked with Elio, all of his degrees from universities, culinary schools in Mexico City. And so we put together 6 months worth of work and thousands of dollars, and we submitted it to the immigration services, and months go by. We finally hear back, and they said, sorry, not accepted. Not granting an O1 visa. All right, yeah, thanks.
Later, Chef.
So we found out that the laws had changed a bit regarding an O1 visa. Now, to get an O1 visa, which is a visa that's for someone who's talented in their field of endeavor, you had to either be published, you had to own a restaurant, or like if you were an actor, you would have had to won some kind of an award, like an Academy Award.
Wow.
Well, the bar had been set so high that he, even with all his experience and training and education,
He didn't have an Academy Award.
he did not have an Academy Award. So,
Jesus.
so he was denied. But my attorney said, not to worry, we have another route. So we planned for Elio to come up to here, and he said Elio's going to go to school, and we're going to get him a student visa. So we went to a local school and went in for admissions. They had a great culinary program, a master's degree in culinary arts that was perfect for Elio. Figured he could just fly through that program, and this whole time he'd have a student visa, and that allowed him to even work in the United States while he was getting his master's.
Amazing.
So we go to apply for this master's in culinary arts, and the day we arrived, she said, "Oh, excuse me, we've canceled that program." She said, "But not to worry."
I don't mean to laugh.
not to worry. Elio can get an MBA. And so Elio was sitting in his chair, and I could just see the sweat start to pour down his cheeks. And he had no idea what that was going to involve. Now he's out of his comfort zone, right?
Yep.
It was no culinary program; it's an MBA, and so he enrolled, and he got all his books, and this was all online. So he started studying, and he ended up all of the homework and things he had to do. He would translate from English to Spanish, then he would write his response, translate it back from Spanish to English, and then he would submit it. This all had to be done by Sundays at midnight. So we said, well, Elio, why don't you send it to us and we'll just, review it, make sure it's grammatically correct and everything. And it turns out that none of it matched and it just didn't work. So Sunday nights for us turned into, after dinner, spending hours
Proofreading?
rewriting and proofreading Elio's homework so that we could turn it in by midnight.
Jesus.
And my wife was like, this is not what I signed up for. So we got to figure something else out. So we decided to find a tutor, which we did, who spoke Spanish and English and was able to help Elio and also was able to understand the work.
Yeah.
So was able to help Elio write his assignments correctly and grammatically, proper. And so we bowed out of the homework assignment business along with him. And that worked. And then like 6 months into the program, something clicked and he just figured it out. He's such a smart guy that he no longer needed the tutor. So he was on his own. And
wow. Within 6 months.
Within 6 months of starting his MBA, and he was doing everything on his own from that point on.
And it's not like an MBA is hard, is easy to do. You know what I mean? So it's
not
like
easy at all.
Geez.
I mean, we were looking at these assignments and trying to help him. I'm like, oh my God, thank God I'm not doing this. And then we hadn't opened the restaurant yet, so he was working in another restaurant to help pay his rent.
Oh, Jesus.
And so he was working in a restaurant, studying for an MBA, which he never wanted to do in his entire life. And we were working, and then while this was going on, the attorney was working on another alternate visa so that when he graduated, he would have a real live visa that he could use to work after the student visa had expired. So this all went along, and finally we opened the restaurant. He graduates, gets his MBA, and this is all during COVID.
Wow.
He ended up going to graduation by himself because no one else was allowed in. And this all began. And we also took another trip to Mexico where we met Paulina, his now wife, but girlfriend at the time. And it even further, enlightened our love for Mexico. And so we opened the restaurant. 6 weeks later, COVID happens. And we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We just spent all this money to open this restaurant, and now we're going to lose it all because no one's coming in because it's COVID. Yeah. So, ingeniously, he helped us work together to go around and put menus, because no one knew who we were. We had just opened.
Right.
Went around and put menus on people's doors.
Wow. Old school.
Old school, total old school. We signed up for every delivery service there was. I have a neighborhood of 450 homes, and I started delivering. If they just called the restaurant by 3:00, I would deliver everything. And, his ingenuity, and it really just totally blew us away.
Wow.
And we fell in love with him, everyone that worked in our restaurant, Paulina. So much so that we even, he wanted to get engaged. He had an engagement ring, and he had no idea how he was going to do it. So he said, what should I do? And I said, well, why don't we go to the beach? I have friends who have a house in Rehoboth, and we'll stay there, and you can get engaged on the beach. So that was the plan. Sunday night of Memorial Day weekend, we go to dinner early so we could go to the beach before it got dark. And we go to the beach, and Lynn says, oh, I'm getting cold. I'm going to go back to the car and get a wrap. And so this was our ability to escape and let Elio and Paulina go off to the beach by themselves. And so we sat on the edge of the beach watching them, and like half an hour go by, nothing's happened. We can tell because obviously Paulina would have showed some emotion if he asked her to marry him. So we're texting. I'm like, Elliot, what's going on? He's like, I'm nervous. And finally, after like 45 minutes, she jumps up and down, and it was on. We knew that it had happened. So then we planned our wedding. He didn't know where to have the wedding. We ended up having it at our house, in our backyard. And so this whole love affair with Mexico and the people and the culture has just developed over all of these, incredible journeys that we've gone through, including COVID.
Wow.
And getting to know these just lovely people. And then, of course, all his family came up, and we got to know them really well. His mom and his sister, brother-in-law came to the wedding, and it's just been a fantastic journey.
And why go all in on one guy like this? I mean, you probably could have found somebody locally. I mean, you jumped through hoops for so long. It's incredible.
It sounded so easy in the beginning, and then once you get into it, you just there was no way back. If I had to do it all over again, absolutely not. I probably wouldn't have done it. But I was like, just go to Mexico, find a guy, bring him back, open a restaurant, let's go. But at the end of the day, I wanted it to be authentic. And Jose, the initial chef, showed me what authentic Mexican was. And it's not here.
Right.
The majority of Mexican food is not authentic. It's getting better.
Yeah.
But, so much of it is all Tex-Mex, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted authentic. Because I tasted authentic, and you get that taste in your mouth. And so, I wasn't daunted. It was, probably dumb and stubborn, but it was the route we took. And then you got to the point where you'd invested enough time and energy, and through all this process, the 6 months we spent before he even landed in America, we developed this relationship through trying to get his visa. And I just saw how hardworking he was, and just what a wonderful person he was. And I said, this is the guy. So I did go all in, but it wasn't like he showed up at my door the day after we met. There was a long 6-month process of getting to know each other. And through that process, I said, wow, this guy's really, really the real deal. So I knew that after the 6 months that I had to go forward with it.
So how's it going now? I mean, with the food, is the place where you wanted it to be? Is your vision? Is it where you thought it was going to be?
I think it's exceeded expectations as far as, he brought up Isaac, who's also his, high school buddy and also a chef. And I thought Isaac was going to stay for like 3 weeks just to get us off the ground. And Isaac was still here, got married to an American.
Awesome.
Latina American. And they're still here, and they're still, coming up with new ideas for food and all the time. And it's just, we're getting a lot of press now that people are starting to come out and enjoy, dining out again. And it's really just been amazing. We just got an article written up in the Washingtonian magazine about tacos, and one of the top favorite taquerias in Alexandria, and a lot of places got a quarter page. They gave us a whole page. So,
wow.
The embrace now that we're out of COVID, so to speak, hopefully, has been really wonderful. That embrace that we thought we'd get right away, well, it got delayed for a year and a half, but now it's there. So it's been really lovely.
Yeah. So what is your background? Have you always been doing restaurants? Is that
all my life?
Yeah.
I was 15 working as a busboy at Big Boy. And I won't tell you how many decades ago that was, but it's been a long time. And I never looked back. Got a degree in hotel restaurant management, and it's never looked back. It's always been a joy of mine, and I love to cook also. But I admire what these guys do day in and day out on the line.
Yeah. Is this your first restaurant you own, or?
I've been partners in other restaurants.
Got it.
My wife and I own this completely, so it's the first time I've completely owned a restaurant in my life.
Wow.
So, it was a little scary after COVID, right?
Well, I mean, brand new concept, COVID hits,
and it was just us.
let's own it on our own. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's like people kept saying this. Well, you should have opened during COVID. It's like, well, wasn't exactly our plan, but who knew COVID? Even when we opened in late January, who knew COVID was? I mean, we barely started.
People that don't understand the restaurant business, they're like, no, you buy it and you open the next day. Like, why?
Yeah. There's no planning that goes in opening a restaurant.
No construction, no permits, no nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just poor luck, but I guess if you can survive that, you can survive just about anything.
Yeah, geez. I mean, I love the fact that you're going around putting flyers on people's doors. Like, wow.
It was total, like, pull you up by your bootstraps kind of marketing.
Figure it out. Yeah.
And because we just had to, it was all of a sudden, it was a 95% drop in revenue from the day before.
Oh, my gosh.
That late March, whenever that date was, I remember, you had to pull the chairs and pile them up in the back of the restaurant, and it just wasn't a business anymore.
Yeah. Jeez.
So we had to figure it out. What are we going to do to make it a business again? And so, luckily the PPP loans and things like that kept us afloat until we were able to, and then gradually they started doing things like allowing you to sell liquor to go. So we immediately started bottling margaritas and things like that.
How did that go? Is that's still a thing, right? That you could still do to go?
Still a thing, yeah. People still take margaritas home, and we bottle them in 16 and 32 ounce containers, and
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a thing.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
That's awesome. And then, so what's your clientele looking like? Is it mixed? Is it American? Is it Latin? Is it who's coming in?
It's definitely a mix. It was funny because we got our first write-up in the Washington Post.
Yeah.
And the online version came out on a Monday. And you can tell it was all the hipsters that read the newspaper online that were coming in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, the paper version came out. And all of a sudden, the demographics completely changed to old white people. Like myself.
People are still reading the newspaper?
People are still reading the paper copy of the newspaper. We're all coming in that weekend. So, yeah, so it's a mix. It's definitely, people from Mexico that come in just immediately fall in love.
Yeah.
And they immediately seek out Elio and go talk to them and tell them that, they feel like they're traveling back home without getting on a plane. So
wow, that's awesome.
It's been and a lot of people who have traveled to Mexico, like ourselves, that really know authentic Mexican food have really warmed up to it too. So that's been great. So it's a total mix.
Yeah. So, and what else? With Elio being here in America, has he seen, like, what is the I guess you've seen the culture over the last 10 years, 5 years. Are people's minds changing at all about Mexico? I mean, you mentioned they love these certain things, but they don't like Mexico. Do you feel it's changing? Do you feel like it's moving in any sort of direction, or do you still think everyone?
I think it is. I mean, it's still our brother from another mother, right? I mean, it's got a long ways to go, but things like your event. I was amazed that last year when we did participate in your event and how you brought all the culture. We brought the food. You brought all the culture, the entertainment, the music, and everything. And I think events like that are really, and restaurants like ours, are really opening people's eyes to the real Mexico, the culture. The culture is unbelievable. And you don't understand that Mexico is more than tacos and margaritas.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing I love about my event. And people always say, "Hey, nice work, good job." I mean, for me, I've created the space. I always pretty much take a step back. I let the brands come in, I let the artists come in, and I let them own the event. I mean, I'm not from Mexico. I don't pretend to be from Mexico, so it's not really my thing. But I do try to create a space where everyone is welcome, and then the brands themselves can come in. But I always like to have those conversations with our artists and our entrepreneurs and say, hey, I'm doing this style of event. What else should I do? What else can I bring in? What would you like to see? What do you know what I mean? And it's to me, it's always been like this. When we started out to set out to do Arte Agave, I was like, man, I don't want to do another all you can drink, get hammered, Cinco de Mayo sort of thing. Like I have nothing against Cinco de Mayo, but I'm just saying I didn't want it to be that. Let's just wear cheesy shit and slam tequila,
Right.
kind of thing. Because it's like when I started to really learn about the culture and the people, I was like, man, this is so interesting about the history and all these other things that no one really knows. So we kind of created this hybrid event where people could actually meet people from Mexico and ask those specific questions. And it's like, we don't have to go cheesy. We don't have to go crazy. You just let them be themselves and everyone's going to love them for who they are.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and you do that very well because you really, really portray that immensely well, incredibly well.
Well, it's fun and exciting. Like you don't have to cheese it up. You don't have to party store it. You know what I mean? You can let people be authentic and come in and be themselves. And I think that's what our consumers really like. I mean, we're in a day and age now where I think people want authenticity. They want to know where their food comes from. They want to know about culture. They want to make sure people aren't appropriating. So there's a lot of consumers coming in wanting to be with an open mind, ready to learn. And I think it's just like what you're doing. It's just, we're creating the space, you're creating the food. It's just let people come in and enjoy it. You don't have to, like I said, cheese it up. You don't have to, wrap it with something kind of weird and awkward. Like it makes no sense anymore. And that's what I love to see about the event that we've done. It's just everyone so ready to come in and not just have a good time. They are having fun. They are drinking, but they're ready to learn. And they're ready just to appreciate it. They want to see the music. They want to see the colors. They want to know about whatever anybody wants to teach them. I don't know. I think it's a good trend. Like I said, and I think tequila and mezcal has helped that trend. But it's nice to see other like-minded people just say, hey, listen, let's open this up to consumers to learn the right way.
And we make our own tortillas. And so we show people the process of actually taking the corn that we buy from Oaxaca, and we take them back in the kitchen and show them the entire process. And it's a long process. I mean, there's a reason other people don't do it because it's not easy. But they're amazed at what it is, what the process is, and how we do it back in our own kitchen. And that changes their mind about tortillas that come out of a plastic wrapper forever.
Yeah, and to your point, it's like when I drank tequila back in college, it was crap, and I was like, this tequila thing is terrible. But then you start drinking real tequila or mezcal, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm probably like you. I can't go back. I can't go back to like, not Mexican food. Like if I go to a place, I'm like, I don't know about this place. I'm like, just give me the fajitas. Like I don't even want to try something. I just give me the diced up chicken with some peppers, and I'll be happy. But I'm like you. I can't go back. I can't go back to bad tequila. I can't go back to bad food. And that's the thing is like once you get that taste in people's mouths, and that's the same thing with the culture and the music and the art and the entertainment, they can't go back to anything else. So I think it's cool what's happening, and I'm hoping it just continues.
People learn that it's not about fajitas, not about hard shell tacos with cheddar cheese and lettuce. You'll never find that in Mexico City, ever.
Right.
And then they realize what it really is, what authentic Mexican cuisine is. And you also mentioned Cinco de Mayo, and there's a funny story to that too. It's the craziest day of the year. I always tell people, don't come. We want to come see you on Cinco de Mayo. I'm like, what, are you crazy? Don't come. Lines are out the door. And
save yourself.
Americans love to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, and it's not even their Independence Day.
Yep.
Their Independence Day is September 16th, and that was from Spain back in 1810. Mexico, Cinco de Mayo was May 5th, 1862, and it was a battle in Puebla against the French. And they beat the French, and the French were, embarrassed, but the French thought they were going to wipe out Puebla, move on to Mexico City, and they had thoughts about joining up with the South and joining the Civil War and helping the South, which could have changed the direction of the Civil War entirely. So we also have Mexico to thank for beating the French in Puebla in May 5th. So hopefully people now will celebrate Cinco de Mayo in a different light.
Yeah. Well, I think if you go to the street or ask anybody about Cinco de Mayo, they will think it's Mexican's Independence Day.
Right.
Or two, they'll just have no clue at all. And it's like it's a marketing thing, right? It's like St. Patty's Day. It's all this stuff. I mean, we just bastardize everything and just turn it into a marketing thing.
Of course.
And brands love it because they can sell more.
Yeah. It was initially created by Corona and company brands like that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you go to St. Patty's Day in Ireland, and it's more of a religious holiday than anything else. So we're always taking something and throwing a party. I mean, I love America for that in some ways, but at the same time, I think we're at a point now where it's like, let's really understand what we're doing, what we're celebrating, what things are, instead of just slapping a marketing sticker on it.
Yeah.
And say, let's do shots.
I always tell people that restaurant folks, they go to Mexican places on March 17th and go to Irish places on May 5th.
I love that. Oh man. Yeah. So what else is for you? I mean, you guys are up and running. Is there any talk? I mean, no, it's early. Any talk of expansion or new locations, or you're just trying to get through year 1 or 2 post-COVID?
Probably both. We'd love to do another location, and we've had a lot of interest. People have come in and said, I want to help you. I've had someone try to buy the restaurant
already.
And I did a little research on that particular individual, and that was not a direction that we chose to go in. I've had people come in and want to franchise the restaurant. Multiple groups actually have come in. So there's definitely a market and a need. A lot of people, after I fed our neighborhood for a year and a half, and they all fell in love with the restaurant. And they said, you got to open a restaurant, because our restaurant's not close to my neighborhood. So they're like, you got to open a restaurant closer to closer to our neighborhood. So there's definitely, and I've had developers come in and say, we're opening up this new development and we want Taqueria Picoso to open up there. So we definitely know there's a market.
Yeah.
But, it's still a matter of, I mean, no doubt COVID hurt, and it was tough, and we're still digging out of COVID, the financial aspects of it. So, even we opened up this restaurant amongst a bunch of office buildings that are still empty. The Department of Defense occupies many, many buildings right near us, and they're not going to work at least anytime soon, as far as I know. So, we're still recovering financially from COVID. I don't think we've reached our ultimate goals of where we should be right now because of COVID, but, it'll happen.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, we are looking to grow. And I want to grow it for Elio. This is, he and Isaac, it's at the end of the day, they're the ones that created this baby.
Yeah.
I guided and nurtured and helped finance it along, but at the end of the day, it's about them, and I've always wanted it to be about them. And I want it to succeed. Obviously, I want to make some money off of it, of course, but I want it to succeed for them, so that they can buy a home and have a family and do all the things that people want to do and be able to afford it, because this area is not cheap.
No.
DC is not an inexpensive place to live. And so I want them to, be able to realize the success of multiple restaurants and be able to afford a home here in the area. Yeah,
that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. So what is he doing with his master's in business now? Just running the restaurant?
I think he lines at the Verge cage with it. To be quite honest with you. No, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it only helped. I mean, it helped his
right, of course,
skills. I'm sure it helped his business skills. It doesn't teach him how to cook any better, but I think he can negotiate better. And so, there's some things that came out of it that probably are helpful. But
yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, just seeing people, I don't know. I mean, there are people that I know that just complain and they can't do this or this isn't working out for them. And you hear this story of a guy from Mexico that came here, tough with the language, had to take a business course. Like, talk about somebody who just went for it and somebody who put all into it. Like, I mean, you could really, like, hearing that story is amazing to me, that somebody can just say, all right, I'm leaving my country and I got to go figure it out. The restaurant's not open. I got to take a business course. And I couldn't imagine going to Mexico and not knowing the language that well and having to take a business course down in Mexico. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Put that jacket on yourself and try to think how you would have survived that process.
No, but that's the thing, is people will sit there and they would complain. But then, you know, I guess for me, I hate complaining. I hate people who complain and then don't do anything about anything. You know, it's one thing to recognize a problem, but not try to solve that problem is another thing. But for somebody like him to hear that story, it's just very, very inspirational to say, whatever, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And then hearing you guys, and I think he was like delivering food at one time in the last podcast, you're handing out flyers. I'm like, this is a guy, I mean, I don't know how many decades you've been in the restaurant industry, but I'm sure the last thing you wanted to do is tell your wife, like, hey, I'm going to go hand out flyers to my neighbors. Like,
yeah, this hair got a lot grayer in the past. I can tell you that. Yeah, it's not what we signed up for, of course. I have been in the business for many decades, and I thought it was going to be a whole lot easier. I figured, I've got all this experience. It's going to be a no-brainer. And then, who knows about who can plan for COVID?
Yeah.
And then everything that goes with COVID. I mean, you don't even realize, the product shortages.
Yeah.
I was buying brisket from Costco, and I could only buy 3 at a time. So I'd go back multiple days in a row because our food suppliers didn't have it. Mexican Coke, couldn't find that anywhere. So my job during COVID was basically driving around town trying to find products that our suppliers couldn't supply us with. Prices went through the roof. Avocados just went sky high. So we're constantly trying to juggle pricing and explain to people why.
Mm-hmm.
Why, because everyone feels the pinch of inflation right now, and
yeah,
we still have to make a profit. So unfortunately, we have to raise our prices like everyone else.
Yeah.
And, you're right. I mean, the things that these guys have gone through are things that normal people would just turn right around and went back home.
Yeah.
The comfort of their hometown. And Mexico City is an amazing place. So the fact that they stuck it out here during COVID, well, I guess in the beginning they couldn't go back, but
yeah, but I mean, it could have easily been whatever. I'll wait it out.
They could have checked out at any given moment.
Yeah, and you could have done the same thing. You said, whatever, bankruptcy, let's close up shop, let's do something. I feel it. A lot of people complain. A lot of people complain about why they're not successful. A lot of people complain, or they'll look at you and say, oh, he's successful because of whatever. But some people just don't do the work, I guess, is what I'm really, getting at. And that kind of drives me crazy. It's like, if you do the work and still not working out, that's fine. But you can't just sit back on the sidelines and complain. And listening to your story and Chef's story and his friend's story, I think everyone can take that away and say, listen, it's go time. Let's figure it out. Do whatever you got to do. People get fancy. People get very fancy. They don't want to do the work. And then you hear another story about a guy from Mexico that came over here and worked his ass off. And, you're like, hey, listen, like, he's doing it and you could do it too. Just stop complaining.
He's always been in the trenches, even, like the first day we shut the doors down, he's like, okay, don't pay me this week. He even offered not to get paid to help the restaurant. I mean, how selfless is that?
Yeah.
And then things started when we opened back up and we got the press. Guess what? There's nobody to hire. The staffing issues were, so all of a sudden he's having to cashier, he's having to bartend, he's having to pack food up to go, in addition to prepping it all. So, we went through and still are going through the pains of people not wanting to work.
Yeah.
We're offering more money, and they're still not wanting to work. So, it's been a constant battle ever since things got better, supposedly. running a restaurant. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's been, from day one of this process for Elio, there's been nothing easy. And the fact that he, you know, he survived and prospered through all of it is, you know, a testament to his work ethic and just the hardcore person he is at making, you know, seeing a goal and going for it regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the warning to everyone who wants to open up a restaurant, right? Like everyone thinks it's fun and easy.
I had a friend who would say, if you want to open a restaurant, here's what you do. Go go to the bank, fill a suitcase up with $100 bills, get in a convertible and start throwing them out the top of the convertible. And that's much less painful than opening a restaurant. So that was his advice.
It's not for the faint. And I have you know, my background was 20 years bartending in New York. I have a lot of friends that always wanted to open up a bar and a restaurant. And, you know, for me, I'm glad. I mean, I guess I had dreams when I was younger. I was like, oh, I'm so glad I don't own a bar. Like, I would love to invest into somebody who wants to run a bar, but like,
right.
Yeah, it's long days, long nights, it's weekends, it's everything. There's no time off. And, you know, I used to sleep, you know, I used to go to bed at 4 or 5 in the morning. I'd go see my family on the holidays. They're like, do you really sleep till 1 o'clock in the afternoon? I'm like, yeah, I go to bed at 5 in the morning. They're like, why do you do that? I'm like, that's when I'm done. It's New York. We get done at 4 in the morning and we got to count money. We got to check out. I got to go home. It's 5:30 in the morning. It's a very, very different lifestyle. And I think people see someone behind a bar or they see you, the owner, and like, this is cool. This is fun. This is fancy. And they don't see you, you know, behind the scenes next to the walk-in cooler, next to the bags with a box over your head, running the place.
It's not a very romantic lifestyle now. people think it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's constant. It's 365, 24/7. Walk-ins breaking, ice machines breaking that are brand new. You know, it's never ending. It's every day it's something different.
Yeah. Geez.
How
does your wife handle this? She's in the same business as you guys?
No, she's much smarter than I am. I think she's enjoyed the process.
Yeah.
She doesn't come in every day. She does a lot of the marketing and things like that.
Cool.
That's her world.
Yeah.
You know, she was a partner in a branding agency that she just retired from. And so, you know, if you walk through our restaurant, look at our website, that's all her. You know, cool. That's everything, even the decor in the restaurant, which I know you haven't seen, but it's beautiful. And that's all due to her, you know, her hard work. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah,
it's done for the restaurant, and it continues. I mean, you know, social media, managing that's been a real challenge. And that's how you what you have to do these days is manage social media.
Yeah, if you're not creating content, you're not relevant, right?
So yeah, it's a pretty multifaceted business, as many are, but this one has some unique peculiarities to it.
So what is your number one seller over there? What has Chef created that's one, I guess, number one seller? Or what's the most eyeballs on? What dishes are like popping over your restaurant that everyone talks about?
It's most definitely the al pastor taco, because very few people do it the traditional Mexican way of putting it on a vertical spit. And most people sell al pastor tacos in their Mexican restaurants, but they don't put it on so we put the vertical spit right behind the cashier. So it's the first thing you see when you walk in is you see this big mound of pork on a vertical spit and with a pineapple on top. And that's their immediate first question is, what's that?
Right.
So the al pastor taco has really been the big hit. And then certain writers will write about a certain, like the fish taco was written up on one of the favorite tacos in DC. So everyone came in and said, I've got to have the fish taco.
Nice.
So things spike, and then the elote tick off, which is the Mexican street corn.
My favorite.
And if you look at our website, I mean, the pictures of his elote are probably better than any I've ever seen. And so people say, you got to get the elote. So everyone comes in saying that they have to have the elote. So it kind of goes up and down based on who writes about it or what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. So do people come in and thinking it's like, how they're ordering? Do they think it's like a Chipotle, or are they aware of who you guys are and what you're doing, or people get confused
That
sometimes?
awareness is starting to happen. A lot of people still want, can I get lettuce and cheddar cheese on my taco and sour cream, and that sort of thing still happens, but people are starting to find out, and they read more about us, and they want to try. They want to be adventurous now and find out what it's really all about.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure you're getting the repeat customers. So people are trying it. They like it. They're coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're seeing that a lot more now.
That's awesome. That's
now
awesome.
that people are actually coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so you guys are, how far? You're not too far out from DC, right? You guys, what, 15 minutes or so?
About 15 minutes. Yeah. Straight south of,
Yeah. Yep. So are you getting more of the Virginia local crowd, or are you getting a lot of the DC, or is DC on the weekends kind of thing?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, have read about us, and, the press certainly has helped.
Yeah.
And you see people saying, I drove an hour to try your restaurant, which, blows my mind sometimes. Wow. That's pretty amazing. I heard about you. My neighbor, works in the area and told me about it. So I had to come out and try it. So yeah, we're definitely getting a lot more of that, long distance traveler wanting to try it.
That's awesome. I'm glad things are moving forward. Any plans to get back to Mexico anytime soon?
Oh gosh, I wish.
You and me both.
I'm afraid to leave, to be quite honest with you. I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Every day I'm afraid when the phone rings or something, what broke, or what employee left, or, what happened. So
are you there? Are you there every day?
Almost every day.
Yeah.
I finally said I've got to find a day to take off and just not try and think about the restaurant for one day. So I started doing that, but I'm still running around trying to find products.
Jeez.
That we can't get elsewhere.
Yeah. What is the main shortage still? Like, is it food, glass, or everything?
Glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glass is a huge shortage. A lot of companies, the Mexican soda companies switched to the jarrito, switched to plastic. There's actually been a shortage of Corona beer in bottles.
Yeah. Okay.
And our customers want a bottle; they don't want a can. When they're drinking Corona, other beers they'll drink in a can.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they want Corona.
The Corona in the bottle. That's funny. Yeah.
And that was just this week. It's like we couldn't. The distributor didn't have Corona. We went to a food and wine store, wine and beer store, and they didn't have Corona. So, it's like crazy. So I went to Costco and I found Corona Light in a can, and my bartender said, no, they won't drink that.
That is pretty unique. Like, canned beer is very trendy right now.
Very
but
trendy.
You're right. If somebody handed me a Corona, I want the bottle. I want to put the lime. I want to turn the thing. I want to, it's it's a whole process, I guess.
Don't hand them a Corona Light in a can. Sticking the lime through the hole of the can just isn't the same.
Yeah, well, it's also like Corona. I don't know. To me, regular Corona is sort of like a light beer in my mind. So I don't want a light Corona. I'd rather just have the regular Corona. I get it.
Yeah, and the same thing with Mexican Coke.
Yeah.
If you put Mexican Coke in a can, it's the same as drinking American Coke.
Oh yeah, no, I need the bottle.
Gotta have the Mexican Coke in a bottle.
Yeah. Jeez.
And that was a real shortage too. I was driving all over town trying to find Mexican Coke. And for a long period there we was hit and miss. We're down to 2 Mexican Cokes. I'm like, okay, I'll drive all over town trying to find it.
Who sells Mexican Coke?
Costco used to sell it, and it just came back. But our local restaurant supply store had it first.
Okay.
But of course it was $20 a case. Now it's $30 a case.
Oh
so
my gosh.
like everything else.
Yeah.
And it's available, but it's a lot more expensive now.
Yeah. Jeez.
But yeah, the glass supply has just been brutal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, again, it's a big warning to all you fans out there that want to open up a bar or a restaurant. Like, here we go. Get ready for it.
Yeah. and amazingly, even after COVID, people are like wanting to open up restaurants.
I think it's it still has, even if you hear this story, it still has a cool factor. It's a wow factor. I mean, but think about it. It's like, I mean, do you want to go to an office and sit in some bad lighting office somewhere? Or do you want to be around a chef and a bartender and this cool atmosphere of people coming in, and you want to create your own dreams? So, I think us as Americans and the Mexican culture, we want to create our own thing at the end of the day. I mean, who really wants to sit in a bad lighted office with somebody telling you what to do? So you'd rather take a chance on yourself and go for it. So I don't blame them. I just like to tell people that what they're in for when they're going to start.
Yeah. It does have a bit of a mini celebrity status associated
Mhm.
with it, because people say, "Oh, you own a restaurant." And
Yeah.
when I was delivering tacos in the neighborhood, and one neighbor was walking with another, and then stuck their head in my car and smelled the tacos. I'm like, "Oh, are you Taco Tom?" I said, "Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am Taco Tom."
Is that a thing? Is Taco Tom a real thing that people call you, or did he just make that up?
I think that was one person. I
Okay.
heard that once. So,
Okay.
but I took it. I said I took that as a compliment. I've been called worse. So,
I like Taco Tom. There's a good
Taco
there's a good ring
Tom.
to it. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think any of the Mexicans call me Taco Tom, but
Yeah, I think there is like a celebrity thing to it. I mean, I worked in restaurants for 25 years, and then like when even in my area too, when I'm like, if someone's like, "Oh, I own a restaurant," I'm like, "Ooh, cool. What kind of restaurant is it?" Like, if someone's like, "I work in finance," you're like, "Great."
yeah,
If someone's like, "I own a restaurant," you're like, "What kind of restaurant? Where is it? I want to come see you." There's something really cool about it, man. So congrats to you and congrats to Chef. And I'm glad you guys are up and running and moving forward. And we really appreciate you coming into Arte Agave, September 9th in DC. You guys are going to be our main sponsor with the food there.
looking forward to it. We just got our tablecloth with our logo on it today.
There it is.
So
you're all set.
We're pretty excited about that. Yeah. Last year we looked around at some of these other, restaurants had these elaborate displays, and we got to up our game a little bit here.
It's the little details, that the little details will go a long way.
Yeah, our good friends had a neon sign. We're like, oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
you know who I'm talking about.
Yep. I mean, that was probably one of the reasons why we grabbed the neon sign as well. Like,
absolutely, yeah. That's a great thing.
It definitely pops. And yeah, man. So before I let you go, anything else you want to spread the word about your restaurant or anybody else back in Mexico? Like I said, I love what you're doing, and it's really cool to hear your story. So let me know if there's anything else you want to say or get out before I let you go.
Well, I just wanted to say that at the end of the day, like I said, I probably wouldn't do it the same way, but the journey has been the joy. The product is great, and what we're doing and seeing people enjoy our food is great, but it's really been the journey, and that journey that includes getting to know Mexico. It's been the thing that I'll never forget and I'll never regret. And people that don't know the real Mexico, and not just the coast, they're missing out on an entire country right next to us that has the most beautiful people, the most beautiful food, amazing culture, and a work ethic that's unmatched anywhere I've ever seen on this continent. So if nothing else, go to Arte Agave on September 9th if you're in the DC area, and experience what a small little slice of what Mexico really is all about. And that's the closest you're going to get without getting on a plane is Arte Agave on September 9th. So congrats to what you've done. We're so thrilled to have been called upon to be a part of it last year, and thrilled to be back this year. Can't wait for that Friday, September 9th.
Yeah, you and me both. It's definitely my favorite. We do other types of events. We do some whiskey events and stuff, but it's this is definitely my favorite, man. It's really, like I said, the family kind of vibe that happens in the room. It's you could feel the passion. You could feel the passion of the people representing the tables and the brands, and the entrepreneurs that come in. It's really something special. So
I think the whole Day of the Dead aspect of it, that's what really gets people going.
We're going bigger this year. We're going bigger.
You?
I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're doing, but you're going to get the level of artists is on another level, and
Wow, I can't wait.
And the level of Day of the Dead is we're working on something really cool.
I think that's probably the greatest fascination with most Americans is discovering the whole Day of the Dead thing, and the face painting and all, all the masks and everything. So
yeah,
hats off to you for taking that ball and running with it.
Yeah, we have a nonprofit that we're working with this year. We're going to kick back a lot of our ticket sales to them. And then they're coming in and doing a bunch of stuff. So like I said, for me, it's always taking a step back, finding the right people and letting them come in and just showcase it. So this year you're going to have little mini pop-ups with inside the event. I won't tell you too much, but you'll see it. It's going to be like on another level this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm hoping this year not to be making tacos, so to actually enjoy some of it.
Hang out, yeah. Well, you guys were busy. You guys were very, very popular last year, so you guys were nonstop.
Yeah, someone took one of the trays that held the salsa bottles and just took the bottles off and just took the tray and filled up the whole tray with tacos.
Oh, Jesus!
It's like, come on, that's not the thing to do. Or other people were getting in line, and then they would get to the front, get a taco, and get back in line and eat the taco in line.
Oh my God.
So I think we were supposed to provide 400 portions. At the end of the day, it was over 1,000.
Oh, geez.
So it was a busy night, but grateful to have been a part of a DC event that we hadn't really embarked upon before. So.
Yeah, well, awesome. Fun. Very well received. Everybody wants it back, so we're glad you're back, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely will be. Can't wait.
Cool. Well, listen, Tom, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you. Great talking to you. Great hearing your story and your passion, similar interests that we have. And like I said, we'll see you September 9th at Arte Agave.
Thanks, Walt.